Hey guys, alright, so I looked at our website and I decided that that color is murky. It looks like vomit. I don't like it. It'll probably scare away customers if you have a retail blog or website. So, yeah, we're gonna change it. And I've decided on a different color. And that color would be CC3300. And I thought this was a bit brighter color, a bit a happier color, and I'm trying to bring out the best of our blog. And similarly, I'm going to change the links from green to that same color so that it's sort of everything's the same. And you notice that there's a little pixel at the bottom, or a ton of pixels at the bottom that are black. And so what we're just going to do is here we're just where it's padding, we're going to at the bottom we're just going to do 21 pixels and see if that works. And that gets rid of that little lazy pixel at the bottom. Cause I don't know why it was there. Shouldn't have been there. Maybe it's because my font size is 13 or something. I don't I have no idea. So yeah, just to do that, we just added 21 instead of 20 pixels at the bottom. It's 21 pixels. So remember, it doubles. So that used to be 20 pixels because the top is 20 pixels and it just mirrors the top if you didn't explicitly tell it to do something else. But we explicitly told it to do something else. We told it to make it 21 pixels instead of 20. And yeah, so you could also tell the left to be 24 or 24 pixels instead of 25, but we wanted 25. We wanted symmetrical. So yeah, that's why it's doing that. All right. So let's see. Do we still want that where it says a blog about cheese? I think I kind of like it. I think I like it. It's like a subtitle. It's nice. So I think I'm gonna keep it. And yeah, I like it. So what we could also do now is we could in our in next HTML file we should we could make all these titles. Let's see. Oh my god, guys, I just noticed this. Alright, so it says a blog about cheese, but it also says the best cheese in town. And the reason for that is that this header is covering up that text. I think. I didn't realize that. Let's change it. Let's make it relative again. Yep, it covers up that text. Now, do we think that's a problem or do you think it's fine? Because I think it's totally fine. I didn't even notice. And if I didn't notice, that means that it wasn't important in the first place. So I think that's fine. But if you guys are encountering that problem where if you set to position fix and it's covering up a line, what you can just do is here. I'll show you guys. So say we delete this line and say we only had a blog about cheese. When we refresh the page, that would disappear too, except we like it. So there's a couple things you can do. We can just add a couple break lines here, so it adds a bit of space. Let's see, and this is trial and error depending on what. And there we go. Then we have it. I just added 3 break lines, and that worked. So if you guys are experiencing that problem, just add a couple line breaks, and yeah, that's gonna be fine. So sorry about that, guys. All right. So one more thing is when we hover over it, I'm also gonna set the border radius. Remember the border radius? We've used this before. It adds little curved edges. We're gonna set it to 5 pixels. Remember these curved edges right here? Yeah, we're gonna add those to that. so that it looks a bit well-rounded, pun intended. All right, so that makes it look a bit more professional, in my opinion. If you guys don't like it, you guys don't have to have it, but I like it. So now we're gonna make the about page, and this is a lot simpler than it sounds like. All we do is create a new file. We just make it not index but about.html. There we go, about.html, and then we write our here. Wait, let me just demonstrate that it's working. Here in about, you're just gonna wanna write about.html. What that does, it sets the link to about.html, which means when the people click on it, they go to about.html. You don't have to set the whole entire. You don't have to write file and then C, or you don't need to do any of that. You just have to do about.html. And here, let's do index.html because that's the home page. So when we reload, when you click about, it'll take us to about.html. Sorry. And here it is, about.html, and it's blank. So what we're gonna do is, you could just do the lazy thing, is you just copy all of that and paste it, but we don't want to do that because we're not lazy. And if you're lazy, then you should consider getting a different job, because the job of a designer is never boring or not work. Yeah, alright, anyways. So we do doc.html. We've done this before. I hope you guys have done this 1,000 times, because you really need to get this to stick in your mind. You need to remember this, because this is the core of every HTML file. So doc.html, so that people know we're using, so that the browser knows we're using HTML5. We do HTML, so that the browser knows that anything between these tags is HTML. We do head, because this is all of our important stuff. And then in head, we do title, and we make it about, not out, about. Alright, then there we're gonna do body. And this, according to W3 standards, is a valid HTML page. This is a valid page, guys, and all it did is added a title, and anything else is optional. So we're gonna create our div, and we're gonna give it a class of container, like we did before, and then we're gonna have all of our content. Oh yeah, guys, by the way, if you do, the way to add comments in HTML is it's like a normal tag, comment, except there's a little twist. First of all, it doesn't start with just the normal, it doesn't start like that. It has the angle bracket and then an exclamation mark, and then two minus signs, and then to close the comment, 2 more minus signs, and then the closing thing, and then this is a comment, and any of this code is not executed. All right, so it doesn't, nothing happens. We could write HTML in here. We can do div class, whatever. We can nothing in here is getting executed. It's just a comment, and yeah. But if you go here and we do view page source, it still shows up in the page source. So don't do anything stupid. So that just, if you decide, make a to do, like to do, and then make yourself a little list, you guys can do that. But, or maybe you just want to, you're debugging, which means you're trying to find out errors and stuff, and you just want to comment out pieces of code so that they don't execute, so you can see what the actual problem is. You guys can do that too. It's just a handy little thing to know. Alright, in here, I don't know. Alright, here we have 2 choices right now. The first choice is that we create a separate CSS page for this about page, which would probably be about.css, or we can just use the main.css page and we don't have to rewrite all the styles. So I think I'm just gonna do that. In the end, link rel style sheet type is equal to text/css and href equals main.css. So guys, if you decide that, if you guys decide that this is already a lot of code and you don't want to add any more code, you just want to make a new CSS page, all you have to do is make a new CSS page, call it whatever you want. I'm just going to call it about.css, and then in your about.html, instead of the href being about main.css, you just make it about.css, and then you can make all of your styles in your about.css. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to delete that, and in here I'm going to make it main, because it's better to have just one CSS file. It's easy. It makes in quicker website load pages, because your browser actually remembers CSS styles and then applies it, and it doesn't have to load a new CSS page every single time, which is difficult. And so we're gonna add our shortcut icon is equal to image/ico, and the href is image/favicon. There we go. Alright, now there's also one more thing that we should have, which is just this, which is this piece of line right here. It's totally optional. You guys don't have to have it, but it just sets the encoding for this website, which is going to be UTF-8, which is pretty standard. But yeah, it's a meta tag. If you guys want to search all the meta tags and all the head tags that exist, you guys can do that. But just saying. Also, another attribute you can add in the HTML is the language, where you just do lang is equal to en, which is English. You can make it whatever you want. You can make it, I don't know any others, but en is English. That's also totally optional. You guys don't have to have that. But yeah, so in our about page, what do we need in our about page? I guess an about the author. So, or before we do that, we should get our navigation. We can just do header. Class is equal to header. We've done this before, so you guys should have this in your memory already. If you don't, study it, create websites, and then nav, and then ul, and then li, and then href is equal to index.html, and then home. You guys could also just copy and paste it from the other page, except don't, because that's cheap. You guys are trying to learn here, and if you take the easy way out, then that's not healthy, because then you won't learn as quickly. So you guys should get in the habit of just writing this code for now. Later, when it's super simple stuff, you guys don't have to do this. You guys can just copy and paste, but for now, you should So right, we got that. And why is it already styled? Why do we need to style again? Because we linked it to this main.css, and we had the same class as the other main.css, as the index file did. So it's basically the same piece of code. So that's why it's already styled, which is really nice. If we had a separate CSS file for the about page, then that'd be different. Then we can click to home, we can go back to home, we can look about, we can go to about. So it's really nice. I really like it. And we have our shortcut icon, or a favicon as they call it, in the top. So we can continue from there. Let's add a couple break lines. In fact, let's add 3 break lines, because remember there's that little space, so when you write hey, it's right there instead of, may want to add another one, but that's your choice. Alright, so now let's each one. So this is the about page, so let's write about the author. Save. And you can underline that if you want with text decoration, underline. The way you'd probably do that is you add a class here or an ID, and do ID or class, it doesn't really matter. Generally you want to use classes for stuff you use over and over again, and IDs for stuff you're only going to use once. So we're only going to have one about the author thing, but what you could do is a class and then underline, and then in main.css you can make a new class and call it an class of underline, and just do text decoration underline. Don't forget the semicolon. That would underline it. And then if you have more stuff that you want to underline, you can just add the class of underline to it. So that's a really nice thing to have. It's a neat trick. But I don't really want to underline, but I'm still going to keep that class there in case I want something else underlined. So then we're going to have a picture. And I haven't downloaded the picture yet, but we can just have this Paris cheese picture, which I got. And we can, alright, okay. So we have the picture. This is going to be our person. So ID can be person or author. Let's make it author. Author and then underscore image. Alright, that's going to be a picture of our author. I'm just going to use a random picture I'm going to find on the internet. And then we can have a paragraph about this person. And we're just going to grab some lorem ipsum. Let's grab some at lipsum.com. And generate lorem ipsum. And we can just grab a paragraph about this person. We're not going to save it. We're just going to grab the paragraph. And paste that in there. Then when we reload, we got our image, and then we got our paragraph about the person. I don't really like it. I don't like this layout. We're gonna do some layouting later though. We should probably add the name. Guys, think of a good name. You guys can comment a good name, and then I'll change it to whatever you guys commented to. So we're going to have an H3, which is going to be their name. So I'm going to make it Frank Roosevelt. Save. Frank Roosevelt. Alright, so that's about the author. Actually, let's add another paragraph. And so that way, because usually they write their whole entire life story. So yeah, that looks nice. And now I'm going to go search, I'm going to Google Frank Roosevelt. Oh, look at that. It exists. Oh my god, it exists. Alright, so this is a good picture. Save image as Frankie Roosevelt. Didn't know people called him Frank. I just thought he was called Franklin. Frankie. No, I'm just gonna call him Frank Roos. I'm just gonna save him there. Sorry. Alright. Here, and instead of having Paris cheese, we're gonna do Frank Roos.jpg. Alright. that looks terrible. Why is it? Okay. Main node CSS. Let's scroll all the way to the top. An image. And we want to get rid of that because we don't want all of our images to be like that. But what I like in my images is for them to have a border radius. I'm a huge fan of border radii. And so I'm going to make it 3 pixels though. 5 pixels is a lot. And that is a huge picture. Look at those eyes. Alright. So that's a bit large. And so I'm gonna, in main.css, scroll all the way to the bottom. And for our picture, which we set the ID to author image, I'm just gonna make it the height of it to 180 pixels. That's a lot, but or I don't know if it's a lot. It's not a lot. Alright, that's nice, I think. And I only set the height of it because that automatically adjusts the width too. Similarly, you could just set the width of it and automatically adjusts the height too. And instead of having to figure out how it looks like and distort it or anything or stretch it in weird directions, you can just make it auto set the width or height depending on what you like. I hope that makes sense. And now we actually might make that a bit bigger. Let's make it 380. Yeah, that's good. And we're going to introduce a new really important element or attribute, and that's the float. Yeah, alright. So what the float does is it makes it stick to the left and it makes the stuff that's under it display in line with it. So you don't have to do display in line. You can just do float left, and that makes the element that's under it, or all the elements that are under it, go to the left and display in line if they can. So that's nice, except we don't want it to be right up against it, so we're gonna add a bit of padding, or not padding, but a margin to the right. And we're gonna make it, let's see, 30 pixels. I think that's a good margin. Yeah, that's a good margin. Alright, so we have our About the Author page. It's Frank Roosevelt, and so Franklin Roosevelt wrote our blog about cheese. Yay, thanks Frank. Thanks FDR. Alright, so I think our page is done. And alright, next tutorial we'll do stuff. So subscribe, because we're gonna do stuff. Stuff's gonna happen. You guys are gonna learn something. So please subscribe, like, comment, share, comment, like, subscribe, and subscribe too, in case you haven't done that already. Thank you guys for watching. Please come back and subscribe.